Hey, awesome people of the internet, Wolfman47 here. So today I thought to sort of talk a bit more about the thing going on between Warner Brothers, Netflix, and Paramount, because I did briefly do a short about it, just showing sort of a brief summary of it, and now I'm going to do a full vlog of it, having had time to think about the merger and everything. Since my short, and also since thinking about doing this vlog, some progress has been made, and it's now looking like Paramount will be the one that will be taking Warner Brothers on, albeit with a lot of debt. But that is the sort of price to pay when you'd have big major corporations sort of buying other big major corporations. This happened when Disney bought Fox, and it clearly looks like it's going to happen now. So first of all, let's have some background first. So in late last year, it was revealed that Warner Brothers Discovery, which is obviously Warner Brothers and Discovery Channel combined together with their respective sub companies and everything, they said in late 2025 that they would be putting themselves up for sale, which then followed a bidding war between three major companies. Now, each of the companies in question have collaborated with Warner Brothers on several projects. So Comcast, who are obviously known as Universal, obviously have the Universal Studios, collaborated with Warner Brothers on a few projects, and also have the rights to some of their IPs in the various theme parks, the Harry Potter franchise specifically, as well as other things as well. Netflix, there's also Netflix, the big streaming platform, who were actually the Warner Bros. Preferred studio to begin with, but they have since bowed out. And they've collaborated with Warner Bros. On a few projects as well, specifically being able to sort of be the sort of exclusive home to some of Warner Bros. Films, including their version of Jungle Book, the English dub of the Full Metal Alchemist live action adaptations, and others. And then there's Paramount, who Warner Bros. Have collaborated on with The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, the Watchmen franchise, and I know Nickelodeon, which used to belong to Warner Bros., then belonged to Paramount, or licensed the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for Warner Brothers to use for a Batman crossover, which obviously they have done in the comics. So all that happened, and then in the end, Universal bowed out quite early on, and then Netflix bowed out quite recently, even though Warner Brothers preferred Netflix to begin with. But Paramount were trying to sort of take over the entire company for a while. And things happened, and then eventually it was revealed that Paramount became the sort of sole person that was ending up going to get Warner Brothers in the end. Although, at the time of doing this vlog, I don't actually know if that's actually going to be the case, because some things may have happened since recording this, but that's what I've heard. So the latest thing that I've heard is that Warner Brothers reopened negotiations with Paramount, and earlier this month, Netflix went under the DOJ antitrust scrutiny to create a monopoly with the Warner Brothers merger. The following day, Paramount's insiders told the magazine Variety that Paramount's revised offer for Warner Brothers Discovery would likely come in at $32 per share, whatever that means. And the following day, February 24th, Warner Bros. Discovery confirmed it had received a revised offer from Paramount and is reviewing it in consultation with the financial and legal advisors. This was then followed by Netflix leaving the bidding process and the victory, and Paramount sort of getting victory in the end. So I think the question I've got here, which is obviously the name of the title, is which company would have been better off with Warner Brothers, or should have Warner Brothers just been kept as its own studio again? So I think personally there's obviously going to be a big problem regardless of where Warner Brothers ended up. If it ended up on Netflix, it would mean that it would more than likely remain just streaming. Not a single film would be released in cinemas, with maybe some exceptions. You know, a limited release, and then it would be exclusive on Netflix. And Netflix aren't really known to sort of release things on physical media or rental digital or whatever. So yeah, it'll just be in cinemas, then be on Netflix for the foreseeable future until they decide to remove it and so forth, because you know they have a thing with removing stuff. On the other hand, Paramount are a major studio, and they too have their own streaming platform. However, they are more sort of lenient towards the idea of sort of releasing big films onto the big screen as much as they can, because they of course do have their own set library of films that they are trying to do. And you know, it's definitely a very interesting sort of thing. But yeah, the big difference between the two is that Netflix has and always will be a streaming platform, but it does have its own studios that have helped create some big major IPs, such as Squid Game, Stranger Things, the Addams Family spin-off Wednesday, and many others that are not as overrated and so forth as those. And yeah, as I say, it would probably just be on streaming for the most part. And then obviously Paramount, they're much more well known and so forth, and they've been around for nearly as long as Warner Brothers. They're actually a lot older than Warner Brothers, let's say. So yeah, so I think overall, I think out of the two studios, Paramount I think would have been the one that would be better off, because there's less risk of it being with them over Netflix, particularly because there's a lot of antitrust issues and everything, which I'm not going to go into because it's quite complicated. And I think they're better off with Paramount. And you know, either way, the potential for crossovers between the three different companies are endless. Like I know if they ended up with Universal, they would mean that you could see, I don't know, the Minions sort of try and be as loony as the Looney Tunes, although I know Warner Bros are a bit funny with the Looney Tunes at the moment. If it was with Netflix, there's a potential to have Wednesday crossover with the Wizarding World, you know, with magic and everything. That and the majority of Tim Burton's films have actually been produced by Warner Brothers themselves. So and that Netflix series is one of his own series. So yeah. Well, and I think, but Paramount obviously has the biggest thing, because Paramount you can do all sorts of crossovers. You can have the Transformers in so I'm just thinking, the Transformers in Mad Max maybe. You could have Rick and Morty experiment on SpongeBob. If you still consider Rick and Morty a valuable IP. They can continue the Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossovers, as well as the potential of other crossovers as well. Yeah, the possibilities are endless, and for big fans, it's obviously a big deal, because when you have two major companies sort of combining forces, there's an endless possibility of things. I will say I'm not too surprised that Disney didn't want to buy Warner Brothers themselves, because a lot of what Warner Brothers does is rivals what Disney do. So up until they had issues with the Looney Tunes, the Looney Tunes were the main mascots, and they were like the rivaling Mickey Mouse and Friends from Disney. And also Warner Brothers have DC, whereas Disney have Marvel, although Marvel wasn't theirs to begin with, but they do have Marvel now, so it would have been a bit blasphemous if that happened. And obviously they both have a major say in animation, as do Sony Pictures, who also didn't partake in this, but again, not too surprised about on their part, because they themselves have kind of got sort of people that used to work for Warner Brothers, sort of doing the sort of animation sort of things as well. So yeah. So yeah, I think it was the right call for Paramount to be the overall winner of Warner Brothers. You know, because they are almost determined to make sure everything that Warner Brothers does is shown on the big screen. They're determined to make sure that that TV shows are shown on Paramount Plus as a stream platform, but first and foremost, everything will be on the big screen, everything will be shown live and all that, and then be added to stream platforms and so forth, as well as released on physical media as well. Well, I hope anyway. So yeah, Paramount. Yeah, I think it's the clear winner. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be the winners, but you know, this is just my opinion. This is what I think. Some of you might think I'm wrong. Some of you might think they should have been better off with Netflix or Universal. I mean, you can fire off in the comments below. Let me know what you think. But I still stand by what I say. I think Paramount's the right winner in this situation. So yeah. That's what I've got to say about it. As I say, fire off in the comments below. Let me know what you think about it, what you like about this thing, what you don't like about this thing, and also just let me know what kind of crossovers you see happening if they do decide to do crossovers. Because don't forget, big major corporations don't. There's not often that big major corporations become one and the same. But you know, the possibilities are endless. So yeah. But anyway. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you can, please. If you are new to the channel, I do vlogs like these usually every Thursday, as well as over the weekend as well, if there's something special going on. I also do gaming videos every Monday and Tuesday, sort of doing like a gameplay series video as part of a series of videos for a long game that I'm alternating between 4 different games at the moment. Every Wednesday I do a Let's Play video. Requests are welcome for that as always. And the rest of the week I do reviews of the latest things and stuff that came before the latest things, in the lead up to the latest thing. Holes, rants and live, videos with friends, gameplay compilations when I bought a game bundle, and loads more. See you in the next one. Peace to you all. And yeah, remember, when you get yourself into like one of these big situations where companies are merging and so forth, do try and get your information correct. Don't suddenly assume that you're right about everything. And also don't forget, these things are quite complicated because there's a lot of complications that are involved. So do read up about it, but don't take what they say as sort of like confusing and everything, because yeah, it can get confusing and yeah. But as I say, I think Paramount's the right winner, and that's all I'm going to say. So yeah, all right, toodles.